Hi, my name is Tyler Duffy, and I'm the host of the Building the Bridges to a Better Future podcast. I was born and raised in Lacombe, Alberta, spending my formative years growing up on a buffalo ranch. After high school, I became a power engineer and spent 11 years working in the energy industry. I left that career behind and moved on to study a psychology degree at Red Deer Polytechnic. While completing that degree, I read one thing that stuck in my head that began to change my thinking, shape my beliefs, and ultimately guide my decisions from that point forward. The Canadian Mental Health Association had published some research that said that 80% of lifelong mental health issues have their root in early childhood trauma. Let me say that again. 80% of lifelong mental health issues have their root in early childhood trauma. Now that got me thinking. Does that mean that 80% of lifelong mental health issues are preventable? So research has shown that early childhood trauma is one of the major causes to lifelong mental health issues. So I feel, as a society, we should recognize that and implement programs to reduce, buffer, and eliminate early childhood trauma. Otherwise, we will never be taking a preventative approach to mental health issues. We will be locked in a perpetual process of reacting to mental health issues when they surface later on in life. Like the old saying goes, rather than mop up the bleeding, you gotta stop the bleeding. Now, this was new information to me, but professionals in psychology, education, and the social work world are well aware of this. And community leaders in Red Deer had started to create programs to address this issue by increasing the amount, variety, frequency, and quality of social support the kids get at critical stages in their social and emotional development. The hypothesis is that if we implement positive social support programs for youth and maintain them over years so that they become a permanent part of the Canadian culture, then it may be possible to turn the tide and begin a downward trend in the number of people that struggle with mental health issues in future generations. In this podcast, we will be interviewing the key people that created these programs and have worked tirelessly for 20 years to maintain them. The goal is to share what we've done in Red Deer, why we have done it, and how you can do the same in your community if you're passionate about taking a preventative approach to mental health as well. Come and check it out as we begin to build the bridges to create a better future. Let's hit this one, and I got one that's not on here that I wouldn't mind rabbit holing with you on. So this, we've pretty much been off script the whole time. I dropped these questions sort of thing, but Mark and I are just, the conversation just started. We haven't even hit any of these really. But anyways, one that I think is important is what type of support do kids need to ensure they navigate the social and emotional changes of childhood and adolescence successfully? So,
I call it coffee time. I think they need a place where they can communicate without judgment. And I call it coffee time because it's like that. They need a place like coffee once a week in a very informal setting with someone they care about to hear them. And I say coffee because we're kind of designed in our culture to sit and have a drink. A hot beverage with another person is a big piece of our culture.
You know, I hear your high tea, right?
Yes. Going for a drive. So I think what supports kids need is no distractions of the people that they need to fully be present. They can't be distracted. Even driving actually is not the worst idea. Like taking a drive with your kid to let them, there's no eye contact required.
Yeah.
You can drive, and having that space. I know I have 3 sons, that was invaluable for us to be able to go and talk and not lecture, not to dig, but it was like to actually be present. Because I find like sometimes it comes out when you're in conflict. So I think one of the things that kids really need is they're willing to share this much information, but we want them to share all this other stuff. And I see it all the time. We have a lot of teenagers, a lot of middle school kids, and there's big things happening in life that they don't feel like they can share. Partially because of shame, because they are embarrassed, partially because they're scared, and they are not sure, and they need to feel that moment. One of the coolest things that I ever heard to me in the military was loiter with intent. And I'm like, what does that mean? And these old chaplains would explain it to you in the military, and they're like, when the soldiers come back from war, you could sit in your office and wait for them to come. But we go where they have wings, and we loiter in a space where they might be willing, with the intention that they will communicate with us. And as a school counselor, I would do that. I would stop over where the kids were hanging out at their in the couches,
Meander around, give them a chance to engage you in a comfortable
maybe
setting.
Talk to the one kid I know and just be like, hey, what's up? Just so they can kind of see my personality and see that I'm open to this. I've done therapy sessions where I think of multiple kids that we were like 15 sessions in, and they finally say, hey, actually the reason I'm coming is for this other issue. I just didn't trust you. And I'm like, wow, like, okay,
let's dig in.
Okay.
Right.
But I think it's loitering with the intention of, I think with my oldest son, I remember just sitting in the pool with him and the opportunity I loitered. The intention of seeing what's going on in his relationship. So I think we can't force our way into kids' lives. Like we kind of think we should sometimes. They just don't talk to me. Have you set the stage? So I think a huge support they need, and this needs to come from parents, but it also needs to come from people in their lives that matter. And do you loiter with the intention that they will communicate? And I always think like people like, how do you build rapport with teens? That must be hard. Not really. It's actually not that hard. You just have to be authentic. You have to be present. You have to be willing to hear their reality in their world, and you have to give it time. And I think we're very distracted. We spend a lot of time on our smartphones. Since the data from 2012 on how phones have changed our lives in not a good way is shocking. But I think it's just like, and with my own kids, I screwed that up too. I know better. There's still times where like I missed things for not being present. So I think that's a huge support that I think is easy. It doesn't, because sometimes these supports are like, throw more money. We need more money. So I think they also need visuals about what's going on. So if I was to think of other supports, show a picture of it. Put a visual of what's happening with them. Map out what their experience is. Map out where they're headed so they can see it. I don't think we use visuals enough for kids. Right? I think that's the support that I think is use a visual to help them understand what's happening. Right? You don't have to be a therapist to do that. Just map it out. Show what's kind of happening. Watch what they're watching with them. Multiple times, like, oh, well, let's watch a clip of that. When that's important to you, what are you getting from that? This one girl I worked with, Taylor Swift songs was the key to getting through to her. Because my dad mattered to her. Let's listen to it together. Do parents watch shows with their kids? They should. Because it creates dialogue. So it creates dialogue. There's some very intense shows out there, but I don't want you watching that. It's not good for you. Why don't you watch it with them? Why don't you see what their take on it is? What does that evoke in them? Same with video games. Talk to them about how they made that plan. Hey, why did you go that way? Turn that off. It's stupid. Or just you could be like, hey, how does this work? Like, how do you set that up? Oh, guess what I do? Oh, okay. Because you think about the analogy of like facing a boss in a video game. Well, how did you do it? I had to do it over and over again. Oh, really? Oh, I had to redo my strategy. Oh, cool. I had to upgrade my character to get through it. Oh my gosh. Are we talking about every life circumstance? So you're teaching your kid, if you talk about how they faced a level in the video game. Well, I got frustrated, so I went on the internet and figured out so you did some research. I had to take a break from it because I was starting to get negative. Oh, what kind of thoughts did you have when you couldn't read that level? What was it like when people were rage baiting you? They're like, it's sitting in people's basements, the whole conversation. They're just not having it. So I think those are simple supports, is be in their world and use those as loitering to attend to they can use those analogies to life. Use these opportunities. I think that's a support they need. I think they need to have somebody that cares. And caring,
possibly a tribe.
Yes.
Right? Not just one.
And
the more
is about showing interest.
Yeah.
It's not just well, I'm here for you if you need me.
Yeah.
Except that you haven't shown any interest. You said the words.
Yeah.
But do it.
I like that, loitering with intent.
Yeah.
That's
It's a powerful one. It's really stuck with me in my career, is being able to do that. So that I think kids need that. I think they need to help problem solve, but they won't tell you the problem. So I think giving them opportunities to solve problems, invite them into, let's teach them how to do that.
Yeah.
It's not lecture based. It's let's do it together. So I kind of like escape rooms. People are well, what's a good resource in the community? The escape rooms.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna go in okay, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
What a great way to build your executive functioning than to do it together.
And promote teamwork.
Teamwork. This is, how do we solve this issue? We need more information. We need to gather, or maybe there's some information we didn't need, and that's throwing us off, which is what creates anxiety in high school, is they take in way too much information. Okay, we don't need all that information. So I think they need to do things that promote problem solving. I think having courage to take those, what are some healthy risks kids can take?
Yeah.
I think giving them a little bit of power in their lives. There's ways to give kids power, and it's ways of communicating to them so they get much choice. I think that's the support kids need, is a sense of that. I think they need to feel not judged, so that they can screw up. It's something they will.
Yeah.
You can move past it. I think they need to, more physical supports. I think they need to have a space that's comfortable. And I don't always know what that is, but I think they need to at least have access to, whether or not it's in the school system, that there's a room that they kind of enjoy. They need a cave that they can kind of go to just close themselves off from the world.
Yeah, where you feel safe and secure, and the stress disappears.
I think we always go back to
yeah.
We all kind of need a place to time out. So I think kids need to know where those places might be. I think they need that. I think they need to be given opportunities and trusted with those opportunities. So I'm a firm believer in kids getting a job, because I think it's you're responsible, even if the job's in the house. I remember with my own son, I'm I need you to, we're going to tile this, just let's tile it whenever it turns out. Away, but just giving a bit of responsibility so that they feel they are trusted. I think a lot of things are just done for them.
Yeah.
One thing I think kids really need is to learn how to tolerate distress. So if I was to leave one big point for you, distress tolerance is not something a lot of children have at this point. And partly because everything, boredom, I don't know if I used that same word when I was a kid, because we just went outside.
Yeah.
Or nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
So could handle having nothing. Kids are not used to that anymore. They get things very quickly.
Yeah.
Everything happens very quickly. So if I have a minute, then the thoughts flood them.
Yeah.
And they don't like that. So distress tolerance is I'm alone in my thoughts. I don't want to do that. I don't have my needs met right now, so I need them. They don't know how to handle distress. So I think one of the supports they need is ways to navigate handling those distress. And distress can be subjective, because it means it's not necessarily a bad event, but if something isn't going quite the way, how do you manage that distress?
Yeah.
I think that's a huge support that kids need, is they don't know how to always do that. So it could be teaching them coping skills, it could be helping them build a playlist that helps, learning to be bored and calling it something different.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. They need to look at the words they use. So I think kids need to be, I wouldn't say called out, but I would say somebody that challenges the words they use. Such a loser. Even the word anger, because if you think of like, I'm so angry.
Yeah.
You're really passionate about that, hey?
Mm-hmm.
That word changes everything.
Yeah.
What if you said to somebody like, I'm so depressed lately? Well, it sounds like you're very oppressed. What do you mean? Well, you sounded what you described then. You were held back. You were very oppressed.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a very different. I'm so weak. No, it's
Mm-hmm.
something. Oh, you're saying you really care about it. Like, you just didn't want to cause a big scene. So I think they need to be called out on words. Because if you think of it, if you say those words over and over and over, it becomes true.
Yeah.
So community supports, I think they need people to not be distracted, people to pay attention and notice them. I think focusing on what they do right
Mm-hmm.
is a support that kids crave.
Yeah, I got a thought on that.
Yeah.
I'll add. Like I shared that whole externalizing my worth thing, right?
Yeah.
One thing that I've changed since then is that when I give positive feedback to kids, it's never something superficial.
Yes.
It's about a behavior, something they did, something internal, right? Not
Yes.
like, oh, nice shoes, or your hair looks great. It's like,
Yes.
the way that you gave that guy some positive reinforcement or whatever. Like, so I flipped that. So I think
Yes.
that's a tactic that we can all use is when you give positive reinforcement, have it on a behavioral based internal thing, not an external thing. Like, good job on winning that gold medal. But what are your thoughts along that line?
I would say if you look at Justin Bieber, for example,
Yeah.
he got all the external stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He got that. He got the cars.
Oh yeah, like
He got
to
everything external.
the
To the
maximum
max.
amount possible, more right?
And yet he was not okay.
Yeah.
So like you got everything you wanted,
Mm-hmm.
all external.
Yeah.
What did he do? Well, it broke.
Yep.
Oh, it shouldn't. He's got all this money. He's got all this fame.
Mm-hmm.
But internally, he just was like dying.
Yeah.
And people are like, how could he experience that? I'm like, well, think of what he's going through internally. It's like, how do we reward those kind of things? Which is why I think what kids need is having people help point out what they value and their principles,
Mm-hmm.
and positively reinforcing that.
Yeah.
Right? Where instead of just be like, well, you got this, like, because you're basically just promoting like achievement, like I've got the shiny toy.
and that's an external thing, right? So
Which is what like social media is filled with. Is people, like all the YouTubers put what they have.
Yeah.
And like when the whole YouTube thing came out, I just watched kids get devastated because they're like, I just want that so bad, and whatever. But they saw what they could have on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
But like, how much work went into becoming that YouTuber? What internal thing did they have to, like, all the hate they got there coming their way, or the perseverance it would have taken? They don't see that. They just see, to be included in the tribe, you need to have things.
Mm-hmm.
But to be is like, what do I value? And I noticed when you point that out for kids, they're quite surprised.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Integrity. Wow, like you really stood up to, like, you made that comment to Auntie Jane. You just had a lot of your integrity and your principles around that are so important.
Mm-hmm.
We don't say that.
Yeah.
We say, I can't believe you talked to her like that. So I think it's helping them see what they value. Because one question I always ask is what you're doing moving you towards a fulfilling life or further away? And they're like, well, it's moving me towards it. Okay, then what are you valuing at this time? Because I'm like, okay, maybe you're doing that, but what value is driving it? So I think it's noticing intrinsically what people and kids have to offer, which really goes against what a lot of culture right now is kind of tied to.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
So that's why if you give them things that wake that up in them, that's why like you think of like programmings that exist, what will intrinsically make you feel that you have value. Right?
Gotcha, yeah.
And that, finding those kind of things would be kind of cool, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And trying to promote that internal worth rather than external worth that's a change I've made in my personal life, because I think that would make a difference, right?
Yeah.
100%.
It would make a huge difference, because remember, the critic is always talking.
Yeah.
Could do better, could do this, why didn't you do that? This would have been, you just hurt your family, you're just hurting. And it just keeps, like, it's like popcorn kernels going off in the microwave. It just never seems to stop. And
I think having a tribe helps defeat the critic.
It does.
Right? Because if you don't have somebody else to help you fight that other you in your head.
Because if you think of your brain like a boardroom,
and
it has all these board members in it.
Yeah.
They have a voice, kind of inside out. You have the different emotions. But what if, let's take a look and see how the tribe would come into the boardroom with us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I definitely have a part I call it like a bouncer. It like gets rid of people, where I'm just like, oh, you stood me up for coffee, I could block you. I don't think we're friends anymore. I have to really fight that part, because it's like, no, I've been hurt before. You don't care enough to show up to see me. I don't think we need to talk anymore. But like, feeling like you're part of something, then you can challenge that a little bit.
Yeah.
Hold on a sec. Hold on. Let me look at the evidence that really supports that.
Gotcha.
So trying to get back to like what kids. Yeah, that's why I always disliked the grad speeches that said the world is just beginning. You're about to go off and do all these cool things.
Mm-hmm.
No, they've already done it.
Yeah.
The world's already happened. They've already experienced life. They've already had to grow up too fast. They've already had heartache. They've already had loss. They've already had. Why at magically 18? The world is just beginning.
Yeah, right.
I don't like that messaging, and because it implies that they haven't been through it.
Mm-hmm.
It also implies that now some big change is supposed to happen. Take a look at how they already got through stuff.
Yeah.
You've already navigated some stuff. You've already had to resist. That's why I like looking for. We try to figure out what a kid's problem story is. What do they think their dominant problem story is, and then we try to see how they resisted that.
Okay.
I was always second best.
Yeah.
How did you resist that? How did you resist that belief? And like being able to see that there's proof against that. So like whatever people design programs, what will challenge a kid's dominant story?
Mm-hmm.
And we want to try to redo that narrative. Because remember, they're also impacted by the narratives of TV shows they watch, and music they listen to, and family members, and like how did they resist? So I think signs of resistance can be a big one. Especially resistance against the problem story they might have of themselves. Gotcha. And who will point that out?
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, we got time for one more question, and this one's kind of it's a little bit of a philosophical dialogue, but I'm also going to kind of turn you into a bit of a mentor for me here for advice, right? Because this, I've ever since I've studied psychology, I've had a strong belief that it's like the way to improve the world is through, introducing the tribe back into the modern culture kind of thing, right? So I did 2 years of independent research under the supervision of Dr. Greg Wells at the college there. And what we researched was cross-age peer mentorship programs. Okay. So we would take high school kids, like grade 10, 11, 12s, training them on how to deliver this structured curriculum mentorship program. And then they'd go to the classroom of grade 5 kids for once a week for 1 hour class for 12 weeks, right? Yes. And, we found all sorts of statistically significant positive results, improved in hope for the future, improved self-efficacy, improved body image. I can't remember what they all were, but anyways, it was a great study. We did 2 years of it. And at the end of that, I kind of had this vision where I was like, what if, because I would see the results of it, right? And you would feel the emotional landscape of the room change right away when those high school mentors walked in, right? Sure. Because the grade 5 kids would be waiting, they know they're coming. The high school kids walk in, right? Like they're jacked. So I had this vision. I was like, well, because the positive results are there, and so the vision I had is, what if, like this is like a cultural tweak I'm envisioning, right? What if at every stage of the school system, every kid either participated in or received a cross-age peer mentorship program there's lots of logistical challenges, but we're
Sure.
talking about
Yeah.
the visual of it, right? So
Philosophically,
yeah, so essentially kind of what I'm envisioning is cross-age mentorship programs every year in school where grade 6s would mentor grade 1s, 7s 2s, 8s 3s, dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? And I've honestly been thinking about doing a master's degree and researching down that avenue because I think it would have a net positive result
Yeah.
into infinity.
Yeah. Well,
Microphone is yours.
Okay, here's my honest thoughts.
Yeah.
I'd say the majority of kids I've worked with my whole career
Yeah.
have mentioned somebody to them that would be seen in a mentoring way, sometimes good, sometimes very bad.
Okay.
But the point is, they always found somebody that they saw in a mentoring style. They don't always use that word.
Yeah.
But it's like there is a hierarchy that exists within people. If you
Mhm.
study like some of that social psychology, is
Yeah.
like we conform to certain ways. Like we go to a concert and we see everybody lining up in a certain path. We just go stand there,
Yeah.
even if they're in the wrong lineup. We just kind of follow. We just kind of do, and we have some levels of conformity. And so we kind of look for models that we can do things for. I really wanted to do the Karate Kid kick for years. I couldn't do it, but you see it. We want to kind of be that. So I think people look for that. They don't always find the right one,
Mm-hmm.
which is why they're more, and the more empty they are, go back to the cup.
Yeah.
They crave somebody that kind of shows them the way.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the only thing you have to watch more in therapy. We call it transference, where they see the therapist as the guru, the swami, the one that knows everything. Because we gotta be careful because we don't want them to think that they don't have it within themselves. So I think there is this like people want somebody that they see as having a bit more credibility.
Yeah.
So I think that's the word I would use. So like the older kids might have more credibility, or they might have something to offer because they bring some kind of either prestige or knowledge, or they're cooler, whatever it is. So I think people want that, they crave it. Even in the adult world, we do it all the time.
Yeah.
We seek out, we kind of get drawn. So some people are like, wow, I just really like to hear what that person has to say for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's charisma, maybe it's, I think we're built for that.
Yeah.
That's why we can film, like we can kind of get tribes formulated.
Yeah.
We have oxytocin in our systems to build connection for that very reason, right? That's why it's there. That's why you do a campfire and you sing aloud, oxytocin's released, we feel more connected.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't we use human connection to get back to, and we always had systems of mentorship throughout our whole history.
Yeah.
We've always survived through a mentorship style, but it changed a bit because it went back to you don't need a mentor, just do it yourself. So it went back to like, I don't need you. They could think of like respect kind of changed.
Yeah.
Do we see kids as respectful to adults as they used to be? Maybe, maybe not, but it changed.
Yeah.
So I think it's needed. The key would be getting somebody a good match. Because not everybody is just gonna, we don't naturally just form, because it used to be those mentorships were more power based. Oh, I have to listen to you because you're the adult.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the power differential is shifted.
Yeah.
So we used to just, well, like the power went to the older. That's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
So not that power is maybe the right word, but kind of. Like I have power every time I'm in a room with somebody else.
Yeah.
Just by the nature of my position, I have to use it the right way. So I would add the right use of power. Those mentors will have power automatically, just by age, by size, by experience, there's power. Do they know how to use it? So I would say any good mentorship program, I need to make sure that the older, or not necessarily, but whoever the mentor is, understands their power. Because I don't have any power. You do though, because just by being there, you have power. Do you know how to use it properly? So I'd say understanding how the right use of power is, how to use it. I'm consciously aware of my power in the room. Because if I use it the right way, it can really help somebody. If I use it the wrong way, then maybe you can talk somebody into making a decision in their life they didn't really want to do because they see you as the person.
Yeah.
So they just blindly give it. So I'd say getting the right match, paying attention to who would make the most sense, even though that's not always easy to know, helping people understand how power works. And I think it could be huge because I think people crave it. And I've heard many good mentors over the years that person just made all the difference in helping them know the bumpers on the lane.
Yeah.
Because it creates a little bit of those bumpers that allow, okay, the ball's going, but like they care what that person has to say. They're interested. They want to learn from them because they see credibility.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about you I want to emulate. Now that's a lot of pressure on a mentor.
Yeah.
And if they don't know how to do that. So yeah, I would say huge value.
Yeah.
How can we set up mentorships naturally? There's a natural way to sometimes do it.
Okay.
So I'd say like schools are good at setting it up. Sometimes natural. Can you bring in natural mentors? Can the mentorship happen within the same age group? Sometimes, right? If the age is too far apart, will they see that as... Yeah, so I think just lots of training needs to happen so that people understand. But I see huge value in it. Because people are going to find one if we don't find somebody for them.
Yeah.
I think most people find... Like, I'll give you an example. I have multiple clients who I know all about the YouTubers they follow.
Yeah.
That's their mentor. Mark, you don't even know. He's been through anxiety. You should listen to him. Do you want to hear this clip? You should hear what he's experienced. Mentors are all on YouTube. That backs what right now, we've talked long enough, there should be some energy between us. Right? There should be a sense of connectiveness. Are we on the same page or not?
Yep.
Like if somebody opened the door right now, we should be able to feel the energy change.
Yep.
But online, it's not going to be the same way. But a lot of mentors are that. Because they're like, I want to be them, but you don't know them. There's no this.
Yeah.
So I think getting back to like in-person, natural connectedness, and remember, exposure can be highly helpful at calming the brain. So like exposing somebody to a difficult circumstance and challenging what they think it is calms the brain. So for example, if you're scared of public speaking and you never public speak, well, avoiding it just keeps it going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I work with a lot of girls who've been traumatized by males. Well, just coming into therapy with a healthy male is exposure.
Yeah.
And it actually can be very calming. Because if you don't expose people to the circumstances causing them harm, or that they think is, they'll just keep it going. That's how phobias come about.
Yeah, exposure therapy is one of the ways that people
Heavily,
get over things,
yeah,
right?
So like, and I always try, like, let's make exposure kind of fun. Like if you're scared of going downstairs in the dark as a little kid, it'd be like, okay, let's slowly expose them so that their brain can realize this is actually not a threat.
Yeah.
So like mentorship can also expose to somebody that's a couple years older. They think they're intimidated by them. They can see that he's like, you're not who I thought you were.
Yeah.
It has value in breaking like stereotypes. Like, oh, you look a certain way, so I thought you were going to be bad. But that's not necessarily true. It helps bring back connection of other people. It gets us back to like, we're all here to help each other. Instead of like working in silos. I'm in grade 7, I'm on my own.
Yeah.
I'm not though.
Yeah.
I'm part of a group that feels, even if they're not friends with the older kid, I know that they're okay.
Yeah.
I know that they have something to offer. They're part of my tribe. I belong to a place where it just feels good.
Yeah.
And if they feel good, because some kids will experience, they call it top down versus bottom down, but they may have the thoughts that come, but they might go the other way where their body just tells them something's wrong. So we talk a lot about thoughts, but what if their body just feels off? Exposing them to like some mentors, other people in the school, it can lower that body response to be like, oh, this is actually like, I actually feel better about this place. And they're more willing to be part of it.
Yeah.
So like, I think there's huge value in the exposure piece too, to that.
Yeah, that's like I viewed it as, you know, the potential for that to have a long-term benefit is huge, I think, because you're increasing the opportunities for people to find the right role model, kind of thing, right? So
I think what you oh, sorry, go ahead.
But what I've struggled with is like, okay, so how do you get people to believe that and start doing it in communities across the country.
Part
But
of it,
yeah.
do the mentors you want think they have enough to like think of what imposter syndrome really is.
Yeah.
Some of these people that might be providing for others, they don't think they have anything to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So they're focused on their B side. You want me to mentor anybody?
Mm-hmm.
I'm nothing.
Yeah.
They may act like but like inside they might like, I don't have. So it's not even about like, what are you doing for the people that are being seen as a mentor? You're actually helping them see that they have value.
Yeah.
So it's like, but they might not know that. So I think that's how you get people buying in, is they don't understand what they would. Why me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do I got?
Gotcha. Yeah.
But a lot of teens will just be like, oh, I'm not interested. No, it's stupid.
Yeah.
But actually, what they're really trying to tell you is they don't think they have it.
They don't think they would be good at
And I
it.
think that's part of the buy-in, is people don't know what they have to offer. They're focused on their B side. Other people are still focused on it. But okay, you have this, which then speaks to like, do you know me? Do you know me enough? And then if you see why I'd be good at it, but they don't always tell the mentoring type people that. Here's why you, right?
Gotcha.
And I think that's part of it. But also people feel like we have no time.
Yeah.
North American culture is very, be busy, keep yourself going, no time for anything. Like, I think they just like, if I give up time to do this, is there value in it? No, we gotta get this, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this. I think part of it is a pressure piece.
Yeah.
Don't make time for that. There's nothing more important. So maybe it's getting people to see value.
Yeah, and it's more getting people. For me, it's like how do you get administration, like principals and teachers and stuff like that, to buy into it? Because it's a tactic that I think would be extremely effective, and it can be implemented for like no cost. You're just restructuring the way, the school system stays the same. You don't need to hire any more people, whatever. You just need to get teachers and principals to create those cross-age, put that in the curriculum, right? This is a cross-age mentorship class, right?
Yeah. But I wonder, part of it is that they can be avoidant motivated.
Yeah.
So they're motivated to avoid problems. So they foresee issues. Maybe not achievement motivated. To be like, well, we can just go for it, and there's value. Because it's like, let's make sure. A lot of overthinking, a lot of double checking, a lot of like, well, that comes with potential pitfalls. Like, I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. I thought that the way, like, doing because we did those 2 years of research, but doing more research and a longitudinal study, and then having if you had like a 3 to 5 year study, which is like a PhD, or right, then and that prove positive effects, that might be the kind of thing that has the weight where it's like people are like, all right, that worked. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Because it's to me the challenge is convincing people in communities all over the place to use that tactic.
Yeah, why do you think people don't?
Well, I haven't put any effort into promoting it, right? So it's not like I'm getting resistance to it, because it's that was something that I did when I finished my psychology degree, and then once we finished that research project, I bounced into the film program. So I just kind of detached from it. So it's not like I'm getting resistance to it. Yeah. I'm just like, it's just how do you spread that awareness, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's hard. But you think about it, it's ancient wisdom. It's not new ideas.
Yeah. Like, it's just we just kind of evolved away from it, and it's like it just kind of bonk, introduce it back. Yeah.
I think you start at places that are willing.
Yeah.
Start with a low-hanging fruit, like where it's best able to. Yeah. But it's not new.
No.
It's ancient. It's a big piece of how there's still lots of cultures that do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I remember I can't remember. We'll wrap this up quick, but there was. I was listening to a podcast, and it was an anthropologist specialist, whatever, right? Can't remember her name, don't know, whatever. Yeah. But the one thing that she said is when they, do cross-cultural studies and stuff like that, when they look at other cultures that, that are more collectivist and stuff like that, she said they don't see the type of identity diffusion or teenage angst. And she attributed it to because the youth in those cultures grow up in cross-culture, or not cross-culture, cross-age groups. sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so she said that's a phenomenon that's kind of unique to a little bit to Western.
Yeah.
So that just kind of reinforces that cross-age interaction is good.
Well, and especially when you're like, if you're so focused on what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
So I always laugh at people, like, everybody's talking about me. Yeah, people are too self-focused. They're not talking about you. They're thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
And our culture is very entwined to thinking about yourself all the time. So that if you think too much about yourself, do we focus on what's good or what's bad?
Yeah.
It's like we take a giant magnifying glass and we put it over top of what we could do better at, and we magnify way too hard what's wrong.
Yeah.
And it makes us feel more pulled away from the group. Well, I'm this or I'm that, or if I just do this, and like even kids that are fairly popular don't think they are. They a lot of insecurities, where they just feel like at any point.
That's a very insightful statement. Yeah, the kids who.
Yeah.
Say that again for me.
I don't know. I was brilliant,
yeah, the kids that are popular often don't think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
And they don't.
Yeah.
And I always think I'm always trying to convince people that there's something, and they're like, I don't, because they're so within that you spend too much time there. Like all you're gonna do is like obsess or ruminate would be a better word on it, and so they kind of don't know. And so like if you don't have that cross age or other understanding of everybody else, then all those other groups are scary or better than me, or I'll never get there. But you don't even know them. You don't even know you're putting them on this weird. You don't even know. So then it just isolates you more. I think a lot of kids feel isolated.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Even though they're so much more connected than ever, I'd say they're more isolated than ever. And that's really sad.
Yeah.
And I just
connected in that digital way, though, right?
Digital way, or because even in their in-person ones, it's because there's this constant communication virtually. When they see each other in person, everything's different.
Yeah, they don't know what to talk about.
They don't know what to talk about. They have too much information coming at them. They don't know how to process all of it because they're constantly in this weird communication. They know snippets from everybody, but like they're the more deeper or shared experiences together. Yeah, shared experiences bring in that connection, so they don't have that the same way. So like a shared experience with somebody a little older. That's why I keep using those words, shared experiences, because it's different than just talking. Like texting is not a shared experience, which is why you can text somebody for a long time, but you go to meet in person and you're like, this is awkward. Yeah. Well, we've been talking for 3 years, but then why is it awkward when you meet in person? Yeah. Like even I'll do video sessions with certain clients, and then we'll do it in person after a year, and they're like, oh, I was so worried it wouldn't be the same. Well, I'm the same, you're the same. Yeah. But the format has changed. Gotcha. So that's why I think that the more in-person, different ages, exposure, different cultures, different ways of like, and then you just feel like you're part of something. Yeah, you're just isolated. We're just isolated more than ever. Yeah. What are some key things you want people to take away from this? What do you feel resonated with you? I talk too much. I would say the key thing, kids are awesome. Yeah. They're resilient. They're interesting. They're smart. They see the world. They may not quite see the world the right way because of experiences they've had. So I'd say realize that kids and youth might have things happen that, like putting on a pair of glasses, that it now shifts how they view things, how they view themselves, how they view others, how they view the world. And if they put on a different pair of glasses that helps shift that, the longer they wear that pair of glasses, you're gonna have problems. So we got to be aware that those glasses got put on, and we need to try to get on top of that. So it's like try to understand how they now view the world. If they were to answer the phrase like "I am," how do you think? Not necessarily what they would say, but what is actually their experience? I am 7. I am going. My parents are divorced. I'm someone who has no power over my life. I'm someone who now has to constantly go back and forth between 2 homes. I'm somebody who constantly is asked what the other parent is doing. I'm someone who's learned how to keep the peace all the time. I am feeling like my life is out of control. I'm feeling that it's my fault that this happened. I'm feeling like I don't know how to experience my feelings. And now how do they view you because of that? With this new pair of glasses, you are someone who could potentially hurt me now. You are going to put more change into my life that I can't handle. You are somebody who thinks that you know what's best for me. And then how do they view the world? Well, and like really trying to understand their reality.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're 4 to 18, like what are they going through? So if you want to get the right supports for them, how do we know what they actually need? So I try to do that with every single youth. You can't categorize them. You can't label them and say, well, they're this type of youth. They're a hockey player, they need this. They're a dancer, they need this. They're a tech nerd, they need. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. So you need to find out. And that's, you have to understand their perspective. So I think the huge takeaway is when you design programs, you can have a cool program, but you might be sending the wrong kids. You might be putting your kid in something that actually makes no sense for them because you don't know. And that's the trick. And if you don't know the answers to those questions, how are you going to get them? Do you create a space where you can do that? Do you know the people that might know that information? Does the kid not know? And you need to help them understand what their experience is. And I think if we invested that time, if my kids were watching this, they'd probably be like, oh, I don't know if dad did that, but but I also think like some compassion. Like for me, it's like I've had some self-compassion over like, we're not perfect, I've done the best, but I'm striving to continue to do better. And I think that's what people should take away is it's like, don't beat yourself up. You can still make some changes. You still have a role to play in kids' lives.
Yeah.
What could you have to offer? Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
The one thing, well, I'm looking forward to editing this.
It's a lot, sorry.
No, I'm looking because it's awesome to revisit these, right? Like I find when I'm editing, it lands again because but yeah. So there's been a lot of brilliant things you've said that I'm excited to revisit and have it dig even deeper. The one thing that I really liked that you said was like identifying those core beliefs young, and then giving them that alternate version, right? Because if that a negative core belief resonates, the longer it resonates in their life, the harder it is to fix. So the earlier you can address it, the better.
Well,
correct?
Research sometimes says that they never fully go away, but we can stop tuning into them. And that's why every once in a while you're like, I thought I dealt with that.
Yeah.
I'm 35, why did that come back?
Yeah.
It's there, but the sooner we go after it. You can't ask somebody what their core belief is. You have to help them figure it out.
Gotcha.
So if I just say like, what's your belief about others, that might take a little bit to unpack.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is, the sooner you can figure it out, the better you can be like, ooh, don't want that. All bad thoughts come from existence. And the more you can like, get on those early. The
better. I think that's a great point to leave it off.
Yep, perfect.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it very much.
You're welcome.
And stay tuned. We got 2 more episodes coming at you, and with a lot of brilliant people in Red Deer like Mark here to talk to.
Yes, okay, good.